you guys, welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. So pleased to introduce to you Terry Sidford. She has been a certified life coach for 15 years and she has her first book out, 100 Hearts. She's here to talk about it with us this morning. How are you this morning, Terry?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so pleased to have you here. We were just chatting for a moment about some of the neat things, even just flipping through that I've come across some of the images on here as well. It's 100 Hearts, and this Thursday, October 8th, you have an event going on at the Safanova Boutique, right?
Yes.
Very cool. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but first off, okay, so as a life coach, and now with this being your first book, what kind of drew you to compiling what you have here in the first place? Kind of explain the thought process for developing this specific book.
I was inspired to write the book when I witnessed firsthand my housekeeper who demonstrated tremendous courage when she tragically lost her son. And then I thought of women who many of I had the honor of coaching, who demonstrate courage every day in their lives. And I wanted to understand what made the difference of people that handled tragedy or difficult times in their life and didn't change who they were, versus the people that really could never get over it. And my housekeeper just handled it with grace and love, and she never changed who she was. So that's really what inspired me.
Wow. Tell me how the other women that you worked with in putting this together and kind of getting their insights into courage and other aspects of life.
I gathered a survey on the subject of courage from 100 women, and some of them were local and some of them I never met. Wow. So it was really an eye-opener and very humbling to read their stories. And some of these women, it could be just a small act of courage, and others it's something very, very difficult that they've had to overcome. But majority of them really found their strength in these difficult times in their lives, and they really just want to be themselves. And I think they found out where their strength really came from, and that's within themselves.
Wow. So share with me the experience you had in obviously conceptualizing this first and what the end product ended up being. Was that a lot different than you had initially considered to describe that?
Well, first of all, I thought it was going to be easy to gather the surveys.
The process was a little different, I'm sure.
It was.
Yeah.
And what I found is I asked people, this is a survey on courage, and most women would tell me that they couldn't fill out the survey because they said, I don't see myself as courageous.
Interesting.
But then they would fill out the survey and they were shocked. Wow. And most of them said, I had no idea how courageous I've been in my life.
That is incredible. Well, some of the questions you delve into in this is, how would you define courage? Was there a defining moment that made you who you are today? Is there a moment that you can share that was shared in here that you can share about the book?
I think when someone, I think one that stood out for me, and this is something that's probably a common theme that you hear of, when a lady had a child and she had an abusive husband, and she just left with her keys and her pajamas to make a better life for herself and her son. So, those are some defining moments where, she just chose to survive and to make a better life for herself. So that's just one of many, many different circumstances.
Wow. I mean, some of the names in front of these chapters are, what do you want your legacy to be? And other ones include a little bit about individual stories. What are you most proud of? And Grace's story, Andrea's story, or whoever. I mean, I love it how it's a very intimate, but at the same time revelatory book. I would think, because I think in some way as women we all connect to all those themes.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, I can relate to that, is what it seems like. What were some of the aha moments for you as you were putting this together?
One of them was huge, and that was a question: if you could, live your life again, is there anything you'd change in your life?
Interesting.
And majority of them, even after horrific things that had happened in their lives, said that they would not change anything.
Is that so?
Yes.
Wow, that kind of surprises me, actually.
Yeah, and it surprised me as well.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and those are the moments that really, they either found who they were, and they didn't let the stories define them, but they let the stories help them find out who they were. So that was a really, really cool answer that I gathered from the surveys.
Sure. So you described a little bit how these people, these women, found courage within themselves. In what way was that apparent? I'm sure that was revealed in different aspects, because we're all different as humans, but still going back to the self. Describe that a little bit more in detail on how that process worked for these women in you interviewing them.
Yes, well, I felt that 100 surveys would kind of give us a snapshot of what most women go through. And the demonstration of courage is something as simple as she's a mother and she's a wife, and that's what she dedicated her life to. And one day she just woke up feeling like, I'm lost. And if I don't find myself and who I am, what I'm passionate about, even though I love being a mom and a mother, I'm going to die. And so that, to me, that's a simple story of courage, where she decided, I'm going to start, I'm going to start learning Italian, and I'm plan my trip to go to Italy because I've been passionate about that. And
I love that.
so that's one, that's just a simple story. And then the other extreme would be, losing a child, tragically, and not losing yourself in the process.
That is amazing. Well, you can find out more in this book. It's 100 Hearts, 100 surveys completed by 100 women, stories that honor and celebrate all of them. And so we can see you on Thursday, October 8th from 4 to 8 p.m. over at the Safanova Boutique.
Yes,
right?
Yes. I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Good. Well, what can we expect from the experience? Will you have some books there, some signings and stuff?
Yes, I'll have some books available to purchase, and then we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and some drinks, and just a great group of women and people that are going to be showing up.
Excellent. Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, and then for you personally, where can we find out more about you as a certified life coach and get in touch with you?
There's two places. You can go to spelling it out, 100hearts.com, or on my website, createyourlifecoaching.net.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
a pleasure
you.
to have you here this morning. Have fun this Thursday, and you can visit with Terry Thursday, October 8th over at the Safanova Boutique. We'll be right back after this commercial break. We're going to be talking about much more, including a healthcare summit and ways that you can get involved either as an employee or an employer. That's after this.